Question number 26 is points A is 3 comma 4, B is 4 comma 3 and C is 2 comma 1 are graphed below. It's relevant with the graph. Let me see. Okay, yes. What are the coordinates of B dash and C dash after line segment BC undergoes a dilation centered at point A with the scale factor of 2? So as we know that a dilation is something with just like the multiplying with the scale factor. Multiplying with the scale factor, that is called the dilation. As I also explained in the last class, something like whatever the length is there, if it's got dilated by 2, it means whatever its length is there, so you just need to multiply it by 2. So that is what the meaning. But question something here is little tricky, little different. What they are saying is, what are the coordinates of B dash and C dash after line segment BC undergoes a dilation centered at point A with the scale factor of 2? So what does it mean? So let me tell you, like we can solve a questions in a different way. As I told, if you can, you might be learned in school in some different way, but or like I can solve it in a different way. But only concern is I always try to choose the way which gives me the answer like very fast, quickly, because these all competitive exams are not checking like how you are solving, which step first, which step second, how you are multiplying, how you are dividing. No, they are just checking out like what you guys are selecting. So for that reason, it's not necessary that I have to go into the way only you guys learned. So I can do it in the way like which gives me the quicker answer. So what the question is, so how do I quickly solve it is, they are saying is like the line segment BC undergoes a dilation at a point A with the scale factor of 2. What does it mean, the dilation with the at a point A? Because they are talking with reference to the point A with a scale factor of 2. So it means to say, now look at what is actually the length of the line AB here. So I don't know, whatever that is, that's it's representing something with this length. Now when this line with reference to the point A, line segment BC goes a scale factor, no, dilated with a scale factor of 2, it means to say what is the length between A and B, it should be get multiplied by 2. It means it just need to get doubled. So after getting it doubled, what happens? So this is just like I can extend it. Then this is gonna be the point of B dash. And what are the coordinates of B dash? 1, the x is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It can be written as 5 comma 2. That is the first coordinate. After just doing this point, to do just without doing further, you can check out the option. Sometime what happens, there will be only one option which carries 5 comma 2. If that is the case, without solving the second part, you can select the answer which involves. But in our case, B dash has 5 comma 2 here and 5 comma 2 here. Means I can say either A may be answer or D may be answer. I surely say that B and C cannot be the answer because they are not matching with the coordinates of B dash, right? So either A or D is the answer. Now to make it like we have two options now, I have to solve for uh, AC as a second part as well. So that's approximately the length between A to C is this, if I'm drawing it correct. So let me just say the length between A to C is something like this. It's a length. I'm just drawing it in the way. Okay. So this is the length. So that again, this length should be get multiplied by 2, as the line segment C should also get dilated with the factor of 2. It means, let me just say, yeah, this is I think more accurate. So this also should get multiplied by 2, just double this line. So it's, I'm telling you again, approximate, we are not doing exact. When you are doubling this line, where it goes, so it may go somewhere here, isn't it? That's, I'm drawing the straight line. So just use some references, draw a straight line. So when you're doubling this point from A to C, it's going over here. So what are the coordinates here? Y is going to -1, -2, and x is going to be 1. So 1 comma -2, this is the line, C dash, and this is the point we are representing, B dash, and which is representing that 1 comma -2. That's the option A. So A is the right answer to this question. Let's move to the next question. Number 27. Question number 27 is about Which equation represents a circle whose center is 3 comma negative 1 and whose radius is root 6? This is something relevant with the equation of a circle. To answer to this question, you must know what is an equation of a circle. So if you guys know and remember, that's well and good. You can just substitute the values of center and the radius, and if you can get the answer. But let me tell you, how do we derive? I can just help you with the derivation as well, so it will be easier for you to understand. So let me represent in a xy plane, as this question is relevant with the coordinate geometry. Let's take this is the center of the circle, and let's take this is the radius of the circle. Center of the circle, let me represent with the center called h comma k, and this is the radius. It means a circle, we can draw a circle in this way. This is the circle which I'm representing, and the coordinates which I'm talking about are x and y. Center is h comma k. It means the value of x and y here. Center is h comma k. Now what this is representing the radius, isn't it? So now how do I, this is an just an information about the circle. So how do I create an equation of a circle? Now just you need to go for solving what is the length of the radius. And how do we solve for the length of the radius? How do you solve the length of a line segment in a xy plane? By using the coordinate geometry, just by using the distance formula. And what the distance formula says? The distance formula says, let me just write it as, distance formula says, if I'm saying this is the line segment in the xy plane, something, I can take this as x1 y1, and this is x2 and y2. How do I find what is the length of the line? So if I'm saying d is the length of the line, so how do you find? The distance formula says square root of x2 minus x1 square. So that's gonna be x2 minus x1 square plus y2 minus y1 square. So I'm not going in a detail to explain how I'm writing and all. So we'll be discussing it later once I start actually course with the going in topic details. So now I'm just solving with reference to the questions they have asked us. So this is how you find the distance. This is how you write the distance formula. Same apply to find the radius accordingly. So I can write it as r is equals to square root of, I can take this as x1 y1 and this as x2 y2. The square root of x2 minus x1 square, in our case x minus h square, plus y2 minus y1 square, so y minus k square. So we have that, so x minus h square plus y minus k square. But look at here what happening. To create an equation of a circle, what I need to do is I should not have a radicals in that formula. So I mean to, I should not have this root. So what do I do now? So how do you get rid of this root? So as I always tell, to get rid of this root, you have to square it. Square it. If you are squaring on this side, you have to square on the other side as well. So that's, this becomes x square, sorry, r square is equals to x minus h square plus y minus k square. This is called equation of a circle. This represents an equation. This represents equation of a circle. Simple. So remember this one, equation of a circle. If you don't know how to remember, if you don't know like how you like remembering and all, you can derive by using the distance formula. But my suggestion, it's better to remember, because we don't have that much time in exam, and also we are under the pressure, so we don't have that much time. So if you memorize it, that's really gonna help you. Now let's apply. They are saying is, which of the following is an equation of a circle whose center 3 comma negative 1? It means the value of h is going to be 3, value of k here is going to be negative 1, and the radius r is going to be root 6. Substitute the value of r, h and k here. So let me just write it this down here. Root 6 square is equals to x minus x, as it is, this one and this one are fixed, nothing to do with, minus h, value of h is going to be 3 square plus y minus, that's y minus x minus are fixed, minus what is the value of k? Value of k is going to be minus 1 square. So this is further can be square root of 6, and it's a square, it just gives you 6, is equals to x minus 3 square plus y minus of minus 1 is going to be plus 1 square. So that is the answer. 6 is equals to x minus 3 square plus y plus 1 square, or this is equals to 6. So which is representing option A. A is the right answer to this question. Question number 28 here is, the heights of boys in a grade 10 class are normally distributed with a mean of 168 centimeter, a mean of 168 centimeter, and a standard deviation of 2.5 centimeter. In which range do 95% of the heights approximately fall? So here, to answer to this question, you need to know the two things: what actually the normal distribution is, and you also need to know like what a standard deviation is. So let me represent a relation how the normal distribution and the standard deviation related. So I'm just gonna represent approximately. So normal distribution curve, usually we say a normal distribution curve. Something we talk in this way on the xy plane. You might have gone through this one as well when you studied the statistics. So something, this is what we represent. This type of curves are called normal distribution curve, and what they are specifying us, so whatever the highest point, the peak point, whatever we're gonna talk, the peak point, it always talks about the mean, the average, right? And the first, and whatever this we represent, so this is written with the different notations I can use. So I can use it as a mu, or I can use as something else. So this point we write it here as something like mu, it's like a mean. And the first point, something you get it as mu plus sigma, or some other letters, something it's like a mu plus 2 sigma, and so on. So what these lines are talking about here, it's also going to be mu minus sigma, or this is our basically standard deviation, what I'm saying. So mu minus 2 sigma, and so on. So what they are trying to say is, if I'm talking about in this window from here to here with reference to the my mean, so this area represent approximately 68% of all the data belongs to this range or belongs to this category. I can say 68% of, let's say example, total are 100 data are there. Out of that 100, 68 are in arranged in this range with the nearest to the mean. So that is, we usually say approximately 68%. And this is called the first standard deviation. First standard deviation. So this window from here to here, this is represented with the first standard deviation. The window from here to here, it is represented as second standard deviation. If I'm talking about apart from this, so if I'm talking about this data including that 68, this all corresponds to on an approximate 95% of the students belongs to this window. So that is, I can say this is called second standard deviation. So how they are increasing now to identify the first standard deviation, second standard deviation, and all. So third, it's gonna be, it goes third standard deviation and all. So how do I make use of this one with the relevant? So they have given us the standard deviation, and they have also given us the normal distribution. So how do I make use of that? So when they are talking about the 95% of the data, means I have to cover up with all this. This is what talking me about the 90 overall, the 95% of the data. So to find this changes or the standard deviation with the mean and all, we usually represent here as mu plus or minus the standard deviation. That's what we are talking about, the sigma, or in our case, this is we are talking about for the 68%, you can represent mu plus or minus this. For 95%, you can write it as mu plus or minus twice of this, and for 99.7%, the rest you can write as mu plus or minus 3 times standard deviation. So this is how we calculate, but our question here is basically relating with it. 95% of the students falls in this range, it means, and they have also given us the standard deviation, and they have also given us the mu. So in our case, in this example, I can say the standard deviation what they have written is 2.5, and the mean value, that is 168 centimeter. So mean means the value of this mu they have given as 168. Now just substitute to standard deviation with 95% of that range. We know that 168, that is mu plus or minus 2 times of the standard deviation 2.5, isn't it? So that's going to be 168 plus or minus 2 times 2.5, that gives you 5. So it means to say you have to add 5 to the 168, that gives you your higher range. subtract 5 from the 168, that gives you the lower range of standard deviation. That's what I can say. 168 plus 5, that gives you 173, and 168 minus 5, that gives you 163. So the range is from 163 to 173. This is almost 95% of the grade 10 students falls under this range, and that is 163 to 173 centimeter their height. That represents option A. So that's how do you solve a standard deviation and a normal distribution questions. Let's go to question number 29. So 29 is talking about select all true statements. They are asking, it's a theoretical question. They are saying us, first option says, since 13.1 is a terminating decimal, it is a rational. Yes. So terminating decimals are always rational numbers. So let's, before going to this, let me tell you what are the rational numbers. Any number which can be represented in the form, so like the 2 by 5 something, or like 0.12, anything, this can be represented in the form of a fraction, or it can be represented in the form of a decimal, or it can also be represented with the decimal with the repeating digits, a non-terminating repeating decimal. So I can write it here as, let's take example 1.3333. It is 0.333 is repeating till infinity. This can also be written as 1.3 bar, or it can also be written as 1.3 in the bracket. It means to say 3 is the digit which is repeating till infinity after decimal. These all are called rational numbers. Rational number. These are just an example of rational numbers. And another word they are using, like what are the irrational number. So irrational, which doesn't satisfy the condition which we have mentioned. So irrational numbers are those which doesn't satisfy the condition. So best example I can say, square root of any non-perfect square numbers are irrational. The square root of, I'm saying, square root of non-perfect square numbers are always irrational. What are those? Square root of 2, square root of 3, square root of 5, square root of 7, and so on. These are all are non-perfect square numbers. So these are called irrational. This is the one example. The best example what we can take here is, usually we say pi. Everybody knows what is the value of pi. When we are representing it, this is basically 22 by 7. So you might say, sir, we are representing it is in the rational form, 22 by 7. But what actually happening, when you convert this 22 by 7 into a decimal, what happens? It's going to be 3.1423875. It goes till infinity after decimal digit. So what happening, the numbers are repeating, recurring till infinity, but they are not in a fixed pattern. They are not with a fixed pattern. 3.1423 something, it's going in a random way. After decimal point, if number goes in a random way, it means these are called irrational. So remember, if after decimal point the fixed number of digits are repeating, we can say these are rational. But after decimal point, numbers are number which are repeating are random. Those are called irrational numbers, right? So that's why it's easier for us to answer to the question. 13.1 is a terminating decimal. Yes, of course it is a rational number. That statement is true, so I'm going to select it. 14 by 4 is a ratio of two integer. It is a rational. Yes, this is also true. So I am saying 14 by 4 can be reduced to 14 by 4, can be reduced to 7 by 2. It can be reduced to 3.5. Look at after decimal, it is the terminating. So that's why it is a rational number. Option C says, since 7 is not a perfect square, square root of 7 is a rational. No, as I said, square root of a non-perfect square numbers are irrational. C is not the right answer. Okay. So you should not select it. They are saying select all true possible, all true values. Option D, since square root of 16 is a perfect square, it is irrational. No, square root of a perfect square numbers are rational numbers. So what is the value? Square root of 16, I can write it as plus or minus 4, isn't it? And any number, so plus or minus 4, this is the rational number. Rational number. Why we are saying it? Because it's a complete number. So this 4 can be written as either 4 by 1 or minus 4 by 1, isn't it? It's in the form of rational. So I can say that's why this is a rational number, but here they are saying it is irrational. That's why it is wrong. So what option number E, the last option says, since 5.84 is a repeating decimal, it is a rational. True, it is a rational. As I said, after a decimal point, if the fixed number of digit repeats, those are called rational numbers. So what they are trying to say here, 5.848484, it going till infinity, and this can also be represented with the 5.84 with bar. So it's representing that 84 is repeating till infinity and it is a rational number. So answer to this question is A, B and E. So I can choose the options which are given us as A, B and E. These are the answers to the question, right? Let's go to the question number 30. So question number 30 says, question number 30 says, the graphs for line 1 and the line 2 are shown below. How is the system of equation classified? They are just asking us to how the system of equations classified. So they have shown the graph for the system of equation and they are just asking us to identify. And there are like different options are available. So first option says consistent, independent, inconsistent, consistent, dependent. So what does it mean? So you might be heard these words or no, I don't know, but consistent, independent, its meaning is, when I use the word simple, in a simple language, I can say one solution. And when do I say the system of graphs have one solution? When the two line intersect, when the two line, let's take example, this is the line 1 and this is line 2, as they are meeting at one point, that is called, they are meeting at one point, mean that system of a graph has one solution. Suppose I'm not talking in terms of line, something else. Let's take in the xy plane, one graph is something like this and another graph is something like this. So in this case, what happening, these two graphs are meeting at the 2 points. I don't know what these graphs, f of x, g of x, whatever, as they are meeting together at 2 point, then I can say for such system of graphs I can say two solutions. So just keep it in mind, at how many points they are meeting, that many solution the system of graph have. If more than two graphs are there, all of them should meet at the fixed point, that many solution. In our case, consistent, independent means one solution, and it has been shown this two line which has been represented, they are meeting it as 1 point. That's what I can say one solution, and that is called consistent, independent. And what do you mean by the inconsistent? Inconsistent means like the system of, in a system of graphs, lines are not meeting each other. It means to say a parallel lines. So like, when I'm drawing the two lines, line L and line K, irrespective of how long we extend in either side, line L and K never gonna meet. The reason is line L is parallel to line K. So these parallel lines are never gonna meet. If the lines are not gonna meet, so then such kind of systems of graphs, we say they are inconsistent. Inconsistent, that's why B cannot be answered. Of course, answer is going to be A because they are meeting at once with one solution. Now, what is the meaning of consistent dependent? Consistent dependent means they have many solutions or infinite solutions. Many solutions, or sometimes we also refer it as infinite solution. Infinite solution. So what does it, infinite or many solution is talking about in terms of graph? It means in the xy plane, the two lines, one is called the line L, let's take, and another line called line K, they are overlapping. Line L and line K are overlapping. It means they are just meeting each other at all the points. So such kind of lines have infinite solutions or many solutions, or in other word we can also say that as, the consistent dependent. If you see something like in exam, it's not necessary that they're going to ask you the same question. If the question is in this way, if they are saying inconsistent means, or consistent independent means, or consistent dependent, you can recognize. The first is always talks about the two lines meeting, second inconsistent means parallel line, third one is overlapping lines. All right. All right, so that's it for today's session. So in next session, I'll be solving question number 31 to 35 of the same, right? So thank you so much for watching. Please share these videos to your friends, whoever are looking for the preparation, so that they can also get benefited of this. Thank you so much.